In my country today, myself, current Prime Minister Xanana Guzmão, and a few others, we are called the founding fathers of the country. We, with many others who are not with us today alive in my country, we led our people. We inspired them to realize the most impossible dream. Because back then, in the height of the Cold War, in the immediate aftermath of the Vietnam War, thinking of an independent East Timor was only, belong only to dreamers. We should know a few things about how to heal the wounds in divided communities and countries, how to reconcile and build in lasting peace, how to deliver to the poor the fruits of freedom, such as clean water, electricity, schools, healthcare, roads, food security. We learn that long-lasting, sustainable peace can only be attained through social innovation, fostering partnership between government, civil society, communities, and the business. If I, as often I'm asked what I would consider to be our greatest success in the past 10 years, I would cite reconciliation. Reconciliation among East Timorese, because our struggle was not black and white. We engaged in violence among each other, Timorese against East Timorese. So first we had to heal the wounds among the East Timorese, Timorese communities, Timorese families. We have done that, and also reconciliation with our larger neighbor, Indonesia. We have not allowed the tragedy of the past to dictate or to impede, to be an obstacle to the present and to the future. In 2005, we began to get some oil and gas revenues. Today, our petroleum fund has in excess of $10 billion. Our petroleum fund was modeled after the Norwegian petroleum sovereign wealth fund. The Norwegians advised us. But ironically, in 2008, in the aftermath of the financial crisis, our Norwegian teachers lost something like $80 billion in poor investment, while Little East Timor, the student, didn't lose a cent. We made wise investment, and we must have been the only country in the world that didn't lose a cent during the financial crisis. Today, our petroleum fund is rated by the Extractive Industries International Initiative, Transparency Initiative, as the best managed in Asia and the third best managed in the world. The government has no legal avenues to access the money directly. It has to go all the way through the budget and the parliamentary process. And what we use the petroleum fund, the budget for. I'm not in the government, but I share the country's, the government's priorities today for the next 5 years in investing more in education, in health, rural development, poverty alleviation, building infrastructure like roads, bridges, probably a new deep water port, probably expanding our tiny airport at the moment, creating job opportunities for the youth. In 2010, Felipe Alfaiate, that's his name, he has some relations with Timor-Leste. He was a successful lawyer in UK, working in one of the biggest law firms in the world, but working 18 hours a day, negotiating, litigating oil deals around the world. He contacted me, said he wanted to work in East Timor, to contribute. In seeing his CV, our Prime Minister immediately contracted him as a legal advisor. He decided that he didn't come to Timor-Leste to work and make money, so he quit the office of Prime Minister after 1 year and set up Empresa DIAC. Empresa DIAC now supports 3,000 people through 25 grassroots organizations that are members of the Empresa DIAC Good Business Forum, and they provide support via a social business incubator and social business clinics. We can achieve in my country, in the next 5 years, what we fought for, what our people dreamed and gave their lives for, besides freedom, independence. But freedom and independence can be meaningless if after attainment of independence, vast majority of the people remain poor without access to clean water. I appeal to you, whether in relation to my country or in poor communities in the United States, people who are victimized by the economic financial crisis in the US, or in Haiti, or anywhere in the world, with your creativity, your experience, your resources, you can contribute in small ways, in big ways, to address, to meet the challenges of our times.
As you think about the development of an economy, human capital or the natural resources, and you look at large business operating around the world, how do you see the opportunity or the risk seen from the national side, the government side?
Traditionally, Americans, Europeans are not very risk takers, are adverse to risk, particularly in challenging countries, conditions like ours. Investors are too concerned about, obviously, objective conditions in the country, like legislation, legal uncertainty, and all of that's fair, but also influenced by perceptions of physical risk, security in a given country. So these are normal, but on the other hand, if you look at the Chinese potential investors, they have a much greater patience in dealing with our bureaucracies, our inefficiency.
There's another economy that's beginning to open up very rapidly in Asia, an economy that you've spent a good amount of time studying at and doing human rights assessments in, and that's Myanmar. So if you took the experience from East Timor and extrapolated and applied that to business that's beginning to think about operating responsibly in Myanmar, what lessons would you have for business as they think about entering the market, making those investments?
It's important for American, European, Japanese, and others to go there, to lessen their dependence, stranglehold by others. While sanctions on an impoverished country like Myanmar or on Cuba might satisfy our moral ego or our sentiments, might be morally and politically correct, might not be necessarily the wiser way to promote democracy and human rights.